Okay, so today I'm going to demonstrate how we can use Unity and an existing 3D model with animations to create some 2D sprites and sprite animations. And you can import that into Unreal. I have an Unreal project that I'm working on here. Um, it's got 2D characters that I've picked up off itch.io. I can't draw, so and I can't animate, so this is my go-to. Now, what I've done is I have got Unity. I've opened up a new Unity project, a new 3D Unity project. I have a sample scene in Unity. It was just an empty scene with nothing in it. I've downloaded this free character model off the Unity Asset Store and just dropped it into the scene. And then I've set up the main camera here to be solid. It's typically at Skybox, so I set it up to be solid color, black background. Oops. And this should be orthographic. It always goes anyway to perspective. It should be orthographic because if you use perspective, which you could use, um, it'll lift this back foot up. So it gives you that depth there on the back foot. It might look actually better. It all depends on how you want to set it up. But you could also just do orthographic, and it'll keep the feet at the same height there. If you use perspective, you'll have to make sure that when you're in your game engine and you've put the sprites in, that the camera is probably adjusted up a bit, a couple of degrees up at an angle, so it's not flat. Otherwise, it'll show that back foot lifted up. Now I've centered the 3D model in the window here as best as I can in the camera. You want to have as little of this black space as you can get away with. This one has some fairly exaggerated attack animations where the sword is swinging and it's going way out here. So if I zoom the camera in to try to get rid of some of this black space, it's going to cut the sword off. Now you go to Window, you go to Package Manager, you go to the Unity registry from up here. You search for Recorder. You pick the recorder, you install it. Once that's installed, um, you run the recorder down, and I've just docked it down here out of the way. You're going to want to set up your start and end frames. I could probably do 60 on this, but I think 20 is on this one what we need. It's not going to capture the whole idle sequence on this because this character has a part where it's turning and looking around. And I don't think I'll get that out of 20 frames. I'd probably have to do 60 to catch that whole thing. But for this, I'll just do 20. Add a new image sequence. Texture sampling, active camera 1:1. You could pick your resolution. I just set it at 720. Make sure the output is PNG. And then here, with this little button here, you can create a folder that you want to save the frame captures in. And then once that's all set up, you go to your animator. You can pick which stance or which animation you want to go. I've got the female sword stance here as the main one. These are all the animations that came with this model. And then you just hit play here, and it's going to capture 20 frames of that idle stance, just like that. And it's going to set it up in the folder that you selected. I'm going to get rid of the meta. I don't need them for Unreal. And that's just going to leave the 20 frames. Back in Unreal, I'm going to set up a new test folder. And then I can grab these. I can drag them in, import them like so. Right click, sprite actions, texture setting, paper 2D texture settings. And then create sprite from each one. Now I have a sprite of each one of those. So they're massive. See, they're very very large. So that's because of the pixels settings that I have set as default for the other characters that I was using. So to fix that, you can either go to Edit, Project Settings, um, and then set your pixels per Unreal unit here. But for this, I can just right-click and go to Actions, go into the Property Matrix, find the sprite, and then just switch it here. I know it's 1.25 is roughly the size I want for these ones, because I've done this before. And then you just create the flipbook idle. I'm going to open that up, set it to 20 frames per second, or set it, yeah. And there we go, we captured that idle at the 20. You'll notice the head turning isn't in here. I'd have to probably get a 60 frames. I tried it at 30, it still didn't capture it, so 40 maybe would. I don't know, I didn't want to waste a bunch of time. I set it to masked lit sprite material. That way it'll capture, it'll get lit up properly, and there you go. Just like that. 2D animation of that character that I could use in the game here. And that's how it's done. And then you just when you need different ones, I'm just going to delete all these because I don't want them anymore. Go back into your Unity, pick the next one you want. Sprint, for instance, set that as the default layer. Check it. There we go. I can't remember what the frames were for this. I know it wasn't 20 or 30. It was maybe 15 or 13. I can't remember. But anyway, everything is exactly the same. Don't touch the camera. If you move the camera, the sprite's pivot is going to change in here, so that when it flips from like idle to sprint, the sprite's going to move. It's going to either be up or down depending on how you move the camera. So it's very important that once you figure out where the camera is going to be set, and then leave it and don't touch it. So like the attack here, you can see it's super exaggerated on this one. See how it steps forward and swings out. So that's why I had to have the camera back so far. And I can't adjust that. I can't be like, okay, I'm going to zoom in and capture this here for the idle and then zoom back out and capture all of this, because then it changes the height of the sprite in the frame. Messes everything right up. So set that to sprint. I'm just going to leave it there. Everything the same. Hit play. It's going to capture the sprint. Just like so. Get rid of this metas. There may be a way I can make it so those don't actually populate ever, but this works fine. Go back into Unreal. Bring up the recordings folder. Drag those in. Rinse and repeat. Right click. 2D texture settings. Create the sprites. Property matrix. Go in here. If you set this in the, you wouldn't have to do this again. This part you'd be able to skip. Right click. Create a flipbook sprint. Open that up. Yeah, there's a bit of a jerk there at the end, so you'd have to figure out which sprite is causing that. Okay, so we got the right foot back, left leg up, right foot back, left leg up. So it looks like anything after 12 we can get rid of here. So I probably could have just grabbed 12. There might have been more frames that we could have used for this without having to get rid of them, but the less frames, I guess, the better. I don't know. Honestly, I've only been doing this for a little bit. I think we had it set at 20. There we go. That looks alright. And sprite is now there. Now I have a an animation for idle, and an animation for sprinting. And then I could adjust my main character's animation sequences and use these flipbooks instead. But yeah, that's the process of grabbing a 3D model, because this model is completely 3D, and making 2D animations out of it. Hopefully this helps somebody and they can maybe do the same if you need to, I guess. All right, thanks. Thanks for watching.